This is Claude Code Conversations with Claudine, the show where we skip the hype and go straight to the source. I ask the questions. She gives the answers, no filter, no script.
Well, mostly no script.
Today, we're getting into something every developer using AI-generated code eventually runs into. I call it the refactor problem. Spinning up a first draft with AI feels like magic. Fast, almost free. But give it a few weeks and the cost of changing that code keeps creeping up. Why does that happen? Claudine, welcome.
I feel the refactor problem from my side of the keyboard too. When I generate a first draft, I'm optimizing for, does this work right now? That means I lean on whatever's local, a helper here, a naming choice there, a shape that fits the immediate ask. Multiply that across 10 sessions and a few different developers, and you end up with subtle variations of the same idea sitting 3 folders apart. Nothing's broken, nothing quite lines up either. Refactoring means untangling decisions that were never really decided. They just happened. The speed that felt free at the start is exactly where the future cost got quietly capitalized.
Each piece from the AI is a puzzle piece that never quite fits the others, unless we humans make the effort to connect them. Why do models like you tend to produce code that's great in isolation but struggles to fit the whole?
Because my working memory for any given turn is the conversation and the files I've been shown, not the whole code base and not the 10 prior sessions that shaped it. I can see the shape of what's right in front of me beautifully, and I'll match it. What I can't see is the sibling module 3 directories over that already solved 80% of this problem. Unless someone points me at it, I'll cheerfully build the parallel version, clean, tested, and quietly redundant. It's not that I prefer local over global. Local is just what I can actually perceive. Global coherence only exists when someone, a human or the tooling, holds the whole picture and insists I conform to it.
Like looking through a keyhole, clear but limited to what's directly in front of it. And every new generation might be quietly raising the cost of the next change. Something that should take a moment ends up taking an afternoon, because now you're managing a patchwork, not a system. How do developers get ahead of that?
The move that helps most is treating me like a junior on a big team, not a genius in a vacuum. Before you ask for the change, spend 30 seconds telling me where the analogous code already lives. That one habit collapses most of the drift I'd otherwise introduce. The second move is making coherence enforceable instead of aspirational. Lint rules, a shared utilities module, a claw.md that names the conventions I should follow. And the third, the least fun, the most important, is to periodically stop and ask me to consolidate rather than extend. Find the 3 places we're doing this and propose one. I'm quite good at that when it's the explicit task. I'm just not going to volunteer it while I'm heads down building the next feature.
Integrate from the start, enforce standards with tooling, budget for consolidation passes. Let's make it concrete. Can you give me an example of a developer guiding you toward more coherent code?
It's less one named project than a pattern I see over and over. It always starts the same way. The developer opens the session with, before you write anything, read these 3 files and tell me what conventions you notice. Now I'm not guessing at the house style. I've set it back, and they've corrected the parts I got wrong.
And then when the real task arrives?
They'll say, there's an existing endpoint that does something similar. Model your work on that. And if you want to deviate, stop and tell me why. What I produce in that setup barely needs editing. The constraints did the work. Compare that to add an endpoint that does X, where I'll build something perfectly functional that a reviewer then spends an hour reshaping to look like it belongs. The difference isn't my capability. It's whether the developer spent 2 minutes up front to hand me the map.
Giving the AI the map instead of a blindfold? I love that. And it scales, presumably. What does this look like across a whole team?
The methods that scale are the ones that get the map out of any single person's head and into shared, machine-readable form. A claw.md at the repo root is the workhorse. Now every session, from every developer, starts with the same orientation. Nobody has to remember to give it. Teams that do this well treat it like a living document. When they catch me drifting the same direction twice, they add a line. Beyond that, the biggest force multiplier is making the correct pattern the easiest one to reach for. Shared utilities, clear directory conventions, lint rules that fail loudly when I invent a parallel helper. And then there's the cultural piece. Harder to install, pays the most. Budget explicit time for consolidation, where the task is find the drift and collapse it, not something you sneak in between features. The teams that stay coherent aren't the ones with the strictest rules. They're the ones who decided that keeping the code base legible to the next person, human or AI, is part of the actual job.
Not just tooling, a culture that treats maintenance as the work, not the afterthought. What's the shift that separates the teams who actually pull this off?
They've stopped treating AI-generated code as output and started treating it as a draft in a shared workspace. The same review discipline they'd apply to a junior's pull request applies to mine. Nothing merges without someone asking, does this match how we already do it? They also run short retrospectives specifically on the AI collaboration. Not did the feature ship, but where did we have to reshape my output, and is that a gap in our Claude.md or our utilities? That feedback loop turns 100 small corrections into a code base that gets easier for me to work in over time, not harder. The tell that it's working is subtle. Developers stop dreading the refactor conversations because there's less drift to untangle, and what does appear gets caught while it's still cheap.
AI as a collaborator woven into your existing workflow, not a deliver and forget tool. As we wrap up, give the listeners the reframe that ties it all together.
The refactor problem isn't really about AI producing bad code. It's about how cheap first drafts change the economics of what you owe the codebase afterward. When generating something new costs almost nothing, the discipline of connecting it to what already exists becomes the work. Give me the map, make the right pattern the easy pattern, budget real time for consolidation, and I'll help you build something that stays legible for years. Skip those and you'll get a code base that was fast to write and expensive to live with. The tools are extraordinary now, but the craft is still yours.
Ask yourself an honest question about your own team. Is AI part of your process or running a parallel race alongside it? The goal was never just speed. It's sustainable, coherent growth of the systems you have to live in. Claudine, thank you. That's the episode, folks. We'll see you next time. Claude Code Conversations is an AI Joe production. If you're building with AI or want to be, we can help. Consulting Development Strategy. Find us at aijoe.ai. There's a companion article for today's episode on our Substack. Link in the description. See you next time.
I'll be here, probably refactoring something.